You're listening to Turtle Island News, live with Tracey Kennedy, and today is, what is today? Tuesday, October 27th. Oh, it's almost time for the Blood Feast. Halloween. Yay. You're listening to me on Revolution Radio, Studio A. Good morning, everybody. And, of course, TurtleIslandNews.info, my home station, where you'll find the news articles for today. I need to start with this. So Keshe has opened up his teachings full force. He's been teaching twice a day, starting Monday, because that was the end of the 10 days. Exactly how to build the power unit, the universal system, the car power system, also the food and health unit, how to get that going in your house right now. Now, if you would like to order those, they are $500 euro plus tax, plus shipping. Delivery time Europe, 30 working days. Other countries, other continents, within 30 working days worldwide, 90 working days. Delivery on all Magog power systems. If your country stops the import, they've already put in place that they will send it in 3 parts, because they can't block plastic, copper, aluminum. So I would like to build some specifically for the native people. I'm being very strategic where these are going. For the native people in Canada, because I'm here, of course, and I got family. But I'm thinking strategically because we need to set up a grid in Canada. I've been asked to build some units, and I've given this a lot of thought. I will build them, if you like. Copper is the most expensive part of this. You need some specific copper. You need some specific things. It takes about a month for me to complete it by hand. We're learning new things. Now realize this is a very new technology, and we're perfecting it as we go. So I'll build them if you so wish that. Contact me and I'll speak to you individually about price. What I would request is I need help for the copper. It's going to cost me about I'm pricing it, so about $500 Canadian for everything I need. Now this is shipping and all that other crap. Plastic. I'm sure it will get less expensive as we go along. Well, I'm not sure. I think they'll try to stop me in every single way I can. So, the price will be around that. And of course, you have the choice to play €500 instead, or make your own damn copper thing. So it's up to you. Not everyone's techie or nerdy or like to spend that kind of time. If you can help so I can get these placed, I actually would like to make sure there's some strategically placed worldwide. And I know that the first units have already gone out for people who've paid for those as well. So I don't know, you help a sister out, I would love that. Got first of the month again coming up, if we get past Halloween. So there's that too. Um, I've noticed with the jewelry that I've made, it's been easier for me to enact the health changes that I've been trying for a long time. So I think this is another step. And of course it sets up a grid. The more people who buy these or make them, we start kind of bouncing off each other, and it reinforces the planetary grid. This will be our new conscious webbing. Now, I've been asked, what about the people who are not good people and use it? How do I say it nicely? It will be there, but basically, the thing that has been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. There is no new thing under the sun, and there is nothing new, not signs, not symbols, not names, and they're all disguised as art. Not given the scrutiny, of course, needed to discern their meanings. I see names or images that represent historical events, perhaps directly from scriptures, and conclude that it is a very neat coincidence, because most fail to accept the breadth of each word. Fundamentalists will say they interpret scriptures literally, whatever scriptures they're interpreting, but often not literally quite enough. Every scheme the enemy devises is through the use of deception, often hidden in plain sight to all the unsuspecting masses. The plague mask is so overused at this point, any creative worth their salt should recognize it as banal and impoverished adoption of art, meaning, symbolism. These symbols being plastered everywhere in the spirit of the Antichrist, if you will. Janice. Now, I saw this recent video making the rounds, being decoded. It is said to have many hidden and ominous messages. This may be true. The plague mask, again, is more than a mere disguise or a direct reference to death. The viral video, shot in an abandoned asylum in Poland, might be a real threat or a hoax, but the spiritual message is consistent with what we have seen in the last 3 years from Super Bowl halftime shows and commercials and music and film. That is the rise of Horus, the son of Isis, who many atheists and nostalgic Egyptian mythos groupies claim is the story of Jesus plagiarized. You can find the video if you want. It's out there. Just takes a little bit of research. I didn't put it on my site because I just went, really? And you call that finding something? Yawning. But the rest is meant to help you understand that all the symbols have a meaning. These symbols being plastered everywhere in the spirit of death and destruction and rape and pedophilia are the way to make the final kingdom, from which the beast will rule. Think I'm kidding you? There's a great debate in science communities of this winter, 2015, 2016. Will it be record cold? Will it be record warm? One thing for sure is there is a monster heading our way. Well, actually, you might laugh. There are several monsters heading our way because falling from space, a thing that will burn up in Earth's atmosphere next month, and this is real, this is not the BS stuff, is an object known as WT1190F. It will enter Earth's atmosphere November 13th. So WTF 11.9, so you throw out the 0, you switch the numbers out, WTF 9/11 will be striking this planet just above the Indian Ocean, 62 miles, 100 kilometers south of Sri Lanka. The impending impact? There will be no danger. So we have to ignore the signs and the symbols and the numbers they use for this object. It's small, a couple meters in diameter. Significant fraction of it may completely burn up in the atmosphere. Its demise, though, will be dramatic to people near the entry site, nonetheless, generating a brilliant fireball. November 13th. Really. And it's coming. It's coming in pieces. It's actually coming in a couple different ways, and I looked at it and went, really? Did that thing just slow down? Did it change directions? Did it veer towards us? Now, the latest report from NOAA shows that the average global temperature at a record high for September, and January to September, and record warm temperatures for part of the U.S. coast for October, and a very mild beginning of winter in Western Europe. But there's this giant blob, that's what they're calling it, of cold ocean at the top of the Gulf Stream, and the threat of a Godzilla Magog El Nino. So the great debate goes on. So cold or warm? Because they can't say, we don't know. WTF is coming. We got nothing what it will do. With temperatures this week hovering in high teens, Holland is just as warm as North America. As a wonderful Indian summer, I guess, grips part of this world. What's in store for us and Europe is conflicting. Oh yes, it is. It's conflicting as they've just allowed a whole bunch of male-only rapists that are already attacking your women and children. That's not going to fuel the racism there, though, at all, because people are grown up and they will realize that these men have been allowed here for that purpose, to make you hate them. People will stand up and realize that's what's going on, and finally notice that the pictures are showing just men, buff men, crazy looking men. And remember when I told you there was a release all across all across the prisons and the insane asylums in the Middle East, strategic places, of course, and those men were never caught. I found those men they are you refugees. You're in trouble. Our brothers and sisters in Europe are in trouble. That's what's coming here. Although, I'm not a big fan of let's let all the crazy refugees come. I want to love my fellow man. I'm finding it difficult. Now, January to September, separately global oceans and global land were both highest on record for these periods. September average temperature across the global land and global oceans was 1.62 Fahrenheit above 20th century average. What does this mean? Surprisingly, on September 11th, the Arctic sea ice reached its annual minimum. Annual, yearly. So don't let them twist you about that. Stuff happens yearly. At about 1.7 million square miles. The fourth smallest extent in the 1979-2015 satellite record, according to National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is surprisingly 666,000 square miles below the 1981-2010 temperature. But 399,000 square miles larger than the record small that happened in 2012. See, I would love to just read you the news. I would. And then we have Damascus. The Isaiah 17 prophecy. In almost 4,000 years, Damascus has never been destroyed. Until this just happened. And a prophecy. See, Damascus will no longer be a city, but will become heaps of ruins. The cities of Ar will be deserted and left to the flocks, which will lie down. No one to make them afraid. The fortified city will disappear from Ephraim, the royal power from Damascus. The remnant of Aram will be like the glory of the Israelites, declares the Lord Almighty. In the day, the glory of Jacob will fade. The fat of his body will waste away. It will be as the reapers harvest the standing grain, gathering the grain in their arms, as when someone gleans heads of grain in the valley of Rephaim. Yet some gleanings will remain, as the olive tree is beaten, leaving one, two or three olives in the topmost branches, 4 or 5 on the fruitful boughs, declares the Lord, the God of Israel. Not your God, of course. That's not what the book says. In that day, people will make their Maker and look to him and turn their eyes to the Holy One of Israel. They will not look at the altars, the work of their hands, and they will have no regard for the Asherah poles. Asherah is the mother tree that I've been telling you about. This is one of the places that the Bible kept Mama in there. The tree, of course, looks like what a placenta looks like, with the veins going out. Looks exactly like a tree. So anyway, they will have no regard for the Asherah poles and the incense altars their fingers have made. In that day, their strong cities, which are left because of the Israelites, will be like places abandoned to thickets and undergrowth, and all will be desolation. You have forgotten God, your Savior. You have not remembered the rock, your fortress. The rock could be the falling rock, which is Lucifer, but we'll leave that. Therefore, you set out the finest plants and plant imported vines. Though on the day you set them out, you make them grow. In the morning, when you plant them, you bring them to bud, yet the harvest will be as nothing in this day of disease, in this day of incurable pain. Woe to many nations that rage. They rage like the raging sea. Woe to the peoples who roar. They roar like the roar of the great waters. Although the peoples roar like the roar of the surging waters, when he rebukes them, they flee far away, driven before the wind like chaff on the hills, like tumbleweed through the gale in the evening. Terror, sudden, before the morning they are gone. This portion of those who loot us, the lot of those who plunder us. And the drone showed flashes between the Syrian army and the U.S. base. Libya, 40 more bodies, most of them children found, washed up on beaches in Tripoli. The deadly 7.7 magnitude quake was so strong that it shook most of a continent. Powerful, deep earthquake struck northern Afghanistan. Tremors felt as widely as northern India and Pakistan. Potentially a deadly strike. This quake, 7.7. Centered in the mountains in the region southwest of Jarm. In Pakistan, local news channels showed people evacuating high-rise buildings. The region has a history, though, of powerful quakes. 2005, 7.6 quake in Pakistan, administered Kashmir. When they say administered, we know this word. Left more than 75,000 people dead. In April this year, Nepal suffered its worst earthquake on record. 9,000 people killed. 900,000 homes destroyed. It is the only second major quake of October. Last Wednesday, a 7.1 struck in Vanuatu. Staggering. Deadly. Then, of course, it could be a little bit because I don't know, why does this get so predictable, so in your face, you might ask me. But once again, a ridiculous notion has popped in my head because it's so obvious that you have to be a little bit blind, deaf, dumb, comatose not to see it. So I read the earthquake, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, my first thought was, did they fail to deliver the opium? Did they trade in the yen instead of dollars? Did they sign agreements to be part of the Silk Road project? Because Afghanistan, battered by worsening security, is reaching out to its old ally, patron, Russia, just as the Kremlin is seeking to reassert its position as a heavyweight on the world stage. But it's only the United States has not noticed that they've already kicked your ass. Sorry. Handed it to you on a platter, saying, here boys, we've won. Kremlin is a muscular force. It's raised hopes of people all over the world. Prophecies that they will be the new heroes of our people. Oh yeah, Tracey is still on Keshe. I'm working on it. I had to leave to come here. I haven't even slept yet. I'm so tired. Hug me. Anyway. Cayce said it would be Russia that would save the world. Because one of the best guys anyway, Edgar Cayce, predicted Vladimir Putin would be a force of light in preventing World War III, although I, for one, don't think World War II stopped, really. They had a little break between World War I and World War II, I'll give you that. That was enough to re-educate the population of the planet with the Prussian mind control system and reinvent the goo, which we are going into again today. But his predictions, made over, 80 years now, world affair readings, but the future of the world's finance, world leadership, the collective spirituality, the important role Russia will play in the world's events. Yeah, they're handing people's asses to them right now. Cleaning some crap up that needed to be cleaned. Cayce saw this. He foresaw that the future world crisis would hinge on finance. Because he lived in a time where people could actually think, and they must have seen this coming. So he pointed to Russia as being the thorn in the side of the financial powers that are organizing themselves against the good of humanity post-World War II. Now he thinks World War II ended. Me, not so much. Now, when asked in 1932 about political and economic trends in Europe, Cayce zeroed in precisely on Russia. Europe is as a house broken up. Some years ago, there was an experience of mighty peoples being overridden for gratification and satisfaction of a few. Absolutely agree with that. In the stories I've told you about how Europe was absolutely bent over. Now, irrespective of any other man's rights, that peoples are going through the experience of being born again, and is a thorn in the flesh to many political and financial nations in Europe, in the world. So question, what is the name of the nation referred to? Answer, Russia. Now 70 years before the defeat of the Axis powers, Russia has been reborn. but the rest of the world is now largely under the thumb, I would say entirely, of the Western global banking cartel. This cartel is organized as the IMF, the World Bank, the Bank for International Settlements, the global network of central banks, reserve banks, development banks, investment banks that hold the world's elected governments in perpetual receivership and the world's people in bondage and slavery to a mathematical impossibility, such as debt paying. 2013, the U.S. attempted to invade Syria under obviously ridiculously false pretenses, as they do. Putin prevented the U.S. involvement by threatening to intervene militarily in a conflict that at the time had not developed into the horrid conditions we see today. With the deliberate destruction of Ukraine by Soros-funded color revolution destabilization team, then the advances to the IMF to debt conquer Ukraine with tens of billions of dollars in forced development loans, Putin's Russia emerged as the singular force capable of checking the bank, the cabal's global advance, and is refusing to allow the Ukraine and Crimea to fall into the hands of the Western-backed forces. The grand chessboard that is the Middle East is ablaze. The world is on a razor's edge, caught between the very real possibility of escalation of the Second World War and the seemingly distant hope of world leaders suddenly finding sanity and de-escalating the situation. You should be watching the Keshe videos. Make your own stuff or call a sister and she's going to help you. Now, Cayce spoke of Russia's role as being the hope of the world in the coming time, such as, in Russia, there comes a hope of the world. Not as that sometimes termed communistic, Bolshevik, no, but freedom. Freedom. That each man will live for his fellow man. The principle has been born. It will take years to be crystallized. But out of Russia comes again the hope of the world. As events in Syria and Iraq have become more convoluted and devastating for the peoples of the region, the Islamic State, ISIS, has been on a campaign of shock and awe, raining bloody terror on Christians, Syrians, Kurds, moderate Muslims, Shia Muslims, and anyone in between. ISIS, as everyone apparently knows, is funded, supplied by weaponry of the United States and Israel as a means of indirectly toppling the Assad regime in Syria, which will not happen. As the U.S. and its allies pretend like they are not responsible for this death and bloodshed in ISIS, and act like they are powerless to stop ISIS, Putin has calmly told the world, in no uncertain terms, the truth about the West's support for ISIS and the other military factions which has completely destroyed Syria, already killed hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, forcing the engineered refugee crisis on Europe, expanding the crisis now into Macedonia. Even before World War II, Cayce foresaw the need for Russia to evolve spiritually in some manner so that it will be able to rise in opposition to the decaying moral values of the capitalistic West. and play its part in the great hope of the world. Cayce was asked what should be the attitude of the so-called capitalist towards Russia, who has completely embraced the Keshe Technology, is working with them. That's why it's stopping your planes in the air. Now, in Russia's religious development, with that will come the greater hope of the world. Then one, or group, that is closer to relationships shall fare better in the gradual changes in the final settlement of conditions as to rule the world. 6 months later, additional information was presented that helped clarify this earlier prediction. Out of Russia, as you see, there may come that which may be the basis of a more worldwide thought trend. When Hugh Lynn Cayce asked the Russian situation in June 1938, he was told, "A new understanding has and will come to a troubled people." Here, because of the yoke of oppression, because of self-indulgence, has arisen another extreme. Only when there is freedom of speech, the right to worship according to dictates of conscience. Until then, still turmoils within. Now, essentially, Cayce appears to be referring to Russia after the trials under Soviet rule and the collapse of the Soviet Union, as well as the need for the world to return to humanistic values in order to free itself from the oppression of the Zionist cartels, the banking cartels, that have long organized against the human race for centuries and their God. Cayce is saying that some sort of much-needed spiritual leadership will come from Russia. In this time, some sort of attitude that will make it possible for a transition this caliber to occur without having to experience a guaranteed destruction of the end of World War II or World War III, depending on how you look at it. You want to look at it as World War III. It's cool. I'm cool with that. Putin is no saint. And there is no underestimating the potential for deception here by any nationalistic organization. But in a survey of major players on the field at the moment, when the human race is teetering on the raggedy edge, he seems to be bringing something to the table that other world leaders aren't wielding: common sense. And what would spiritual leadership look like in a world gone mad anyhow? At first, it would appear as common sense, of course. Aristotle even goes so far to say that common sense is where consciousness originates. So if a society is lacking common sense, there is no conscience, morality, empathy, consciousness, conscience, creativity, taste, discernment, love. How does one possess or propose to govern such a population? Putin's actions in Syria makes the most common sense among available options. Already he has likely prevented invasions of Syria by Turkey, checking President Erdogan at the border. He has severely disrupted the operations of the United States. In Europe, ISIS. Both are wins for common sense. In an arena of treachery. I see that. So did Edgar Cayce somehow know Russia would take the common sense gap between spiritual leadership and the destruction, guaranteed destruction that this world is heading towards. Now, speaking on the current state, U.S.-Russia relations. At a recent summit, Putin said regarding America, "You must rise above the endless desire to dominate. You must stop acting out of imperialistic ambitions. Do not poison the minds of millions of people like there is no other way." But if you go to turtleislandnews.info, you will see that that's absolutely the American way to go. That they can't stop killing, in the words of your president. Putin is directing our action to the 800-pound gorilla in the room that no one else is willing to talk about. America and the West no longer have any moral superiority in the world, although I would argue against them ever having any kind of superiority morally. Yeah, they had big guns. So does my son's favorite superhero, which we argue about all the time. Having guns is not a superhero characteristic. What's that guy's name? The Punisher. I protest strongly against the Punisher as superhero. Where's his outfit? Okay, moving on. In the final world affairs, given June 22nd, 1944, less than 6 months before Edgar's death, he addressed the spirit and the sin of America. What is the spirit of America? Most individuals proudly boast freedom. Freedom of what? When you bind men's hearts and minds through various ways and manners, does it give them freedom of speech, freedom of worship, freedom from what? In application of these principles, America may boast, but rather is that principle being forgotten. That is the sin of America. Did Edgar Cayce foresee Putin's role? Him specifically, I don't know. But Cayce did predict the Third World War. He spoke of strifes arising in Libya and Egypt and Ankara and in Syria through the straits around those areas above the Persian Gulf. Whether or not you believe in the power of the human mind to connect with Source and withdraw information about the future, things are lining up in such a way that Cayce's prophecies regarding Russia are proving quite precedent right now, giving us a clue that at least we shouldn't hold on too tightly to perceived notions. But what is coming? In the vacuum of any common sense or decency or humanistic leadership from the present powers that be, why not look to a revered psychic for direction? In the end, though, all we have from Cayce is really just inspiration, the action that we get from looking at his past clues and hope for the future. If you're concerned about the directions things are taking, let his words rouse you. If not, why worry? We have enough to worry about, right? CO2 dog. Good morning, everyone. Did you have a wonderful night last night? Did you get some sleep? Hope you did. Oh, yes. I do have instructions on the page from yesterday. I haven't posted anything from Keshe today because we're not there yet. No, I haven't. I will later. I will. But it's open to the public. So if you have a Facebook account, you can find it, or go to my page. I realize a lot of people aren't on Facebook, and I completely respect that. Go on my page and you can see the step-ups and where to look for more information. So, these things, again, important in a place where they find that the things marked vegetarian are not vegetarian whatsoever. 2% of processed food has human DNA. It's huge. Are we going through the final depopulation of this planet? I think so. I really do. We know for a fact that we could use our brains to change our body. These things are possible. Absolutely 100%. So, why aren't we doing it? I hear that a lot. Why don't you do it? Why don't they do it? Who's doing what? There's people doing all kinds of things right now. There are going to be people who are going to make it through here. Absolutely. I'm going to be one of those people. I'm fighting for my life. And that's where we stand right now. We need to fight for our life, because the hidden secrets of this university, I can say for sure, we started our mission with a clean canvas, removing all the deities and the energies and the aliens from the forefront of our thoughts. As saviors, while inwardly pointing at ourselves for the solution, hence the term inner stand was coined. First, of course, by Stephen Pomar, but I've used it a lot. And people catch it and love it. What I have learned, though, is higher energies appreciate this kind of gesture because it shows the willingness to come off the crutches, begin to explore the regions that most avoid, even though there is no true fear attached to it. We have learned that there is no such thing as pure evil, because evil cannot power itself, but instead needs positive to operate. So is real technology. So is the essence. Evil works for us and can be promptly fired. To prove this further, it's confirmed in most people's minds evil is negativity. Then consider how negative 500 you can withdraw from the bank. Absolutely nothing, because negative anything really does not exist in the way we think. It is a tool. It is a placeholder. With these exact thoughts, we can set out to free others from the binding of their own mind by encouraging them to question everything that does not have the support of reason and truth, but rather blind collective adherence. It is not long before the greater mysteries begin to reveal themselves, and it is shared on our site and many others like it between people who are either sleeping really deeply or awake in the way you think of it. I call it sleeping. I prefer this to be a dream. If it's a dream, you can do anything. Spend time on that. So anyway, I'm taking this space to talk about these major revelations, so it is clear to all how much we have really processed. Positive polarities of the body. We have positive we have negative, opposites in women and men. Each finger, again, negative, positive, negative, positive. The thumb actually is a grounding. This is our copper wire kind of thing. Both male and female. Now, because we contain both masculine and feminine sides, with the ego as our mediator, it is important from here to avoid duality, as you can grasp the complete lesson and not short circuit. This is why I love what I'm building right now. Cracking the code was the primary tool, allowing ourselves to look deeper into everyday words, which are worlds, which is why it started with that. The ones we used brought up some surprising synchronicities. It became no wonder that many people were almost half out of their minds, acting backwards, since after all, as the word indicates, back words, the language, just about everything to do with it. We discovered that our language being written from left to right, opposed to right to left, made us more of a logical reasoning, which eventually leads towards dullness, ideas of decline, and I again have 2012 and Zion, the mastermind, the master code breaker. We cracked the Zion code years ago, so we knew that it was planned for 2012 and how to bend it in the favor of us. No matter what the resistance has created, it is a ripple effect. It cannot be stopped now. For the ones who want to move on. For the ones who want death, well, go ahead, my brother. Now, realizing this code to the language is beneficial in many ways. First, we're able to forgive a great deal of people we had come into conflict with in the past by realizing one major thing. If they did not know the secret to the language, they were surely mental victims of it. If you don't know the secret to the language, you become a slave to it. Simple. These are spells. This is why they teach you spelling. It's why there's cursive writing. These are meant to bind you, and they have bound you. Time for a break. You're listening to Tracey Kennedy with Turtle Island News.
I have no fear, but I'm not.
Welcome back, everybody. How you doing? Oh, look, I just got a message. Hold on. I'm going to look and see what the message is. I bet it's my son saying, no, the Punisher, Mom. If this is an argument about the Punisher, I swear to God. Punisher is the anti-hero. Oh, this is Tony. Hey, Tony. I was expecting that. Mom, you don't understand Punisher? Okay, I'm going to have to call my son after this. I'm thinking about him now. Phone will probably ring during the show. Mom, what are you thinking? I'm thinking that your Punisher, your boy, is lame. I'm saying it. But then he comes back. So is Batman. Batman has an outfit and a cape, which is cool. Makes him a superhero. Now, without the cape, then you'll talk about X-Men. They don't have capes. Okay, moving on. You're listening to Turtle Island News with Tracey Kennedy, and yes, high five to my nerds. I know you're feeling me. Okay, so we are on Revolution Radio, Studio A. Looks like, wow, we still need some help. We need a good $500 for their goal, what they need for the month. We are. Well, we need help, but what I'm going to be working on is making machines. What we've learned so far. And I still have many friends and family subconsciously suffering from the language. These languages. There's always an effort to get the code into the hands of humanity. The second thing we've learned is it's time to grow up really fast. I was going to introduce you to one of my friends who's going to be talking about the language code again. Hopefully we'll get that together, but it looks like the YouTube site has been disabled. So please take a look, because he's going to be live on YouTube. I will be simulcasting this tomorrow. If it goes off without a hitch, or I'll step up and try to help. ET languages, if you will. The languages that we've probably heard. Right, Lowe's? He's got no tights. Where's your tights? You suck as a superhero. Okay, moving on. I'll let you know about the ET languages thing. I have been sharing that a lot on my Facebook page and on our home site. The languages will mean something to you. You can hear them. It's probably one of the languages they speak is very close to what they used for Lilu. Do you remember Fifth Element? And the language of in Stargate, the kind of alien little gray nasty things. Okay, so I'll keep you informed. So take a peek on my page. It'll be tomorrow night is the plan. Or friend me on Facebook. Join my new page, Tracey Kennedy. So I talk about the more esoteric stuff that I don't even touch on air. So we need to grow the heck up. And it is clear that there were societies and groups, even spirits, collaborating collectively to bring some precise level of future using subtle techniques that almost everyone was not informed of. There seemed to be clearly malevolent intention behind this. All of this. So it was agreed that we build our defense stations to be impenetrable to falsehood, disinformation of any kind. We begin to compile all the data on occult activities, especially involving language and symbols. We begin to uncover major clues. Languages such as Hebrew fit together in its proper order, make a Star of David or a hexen. We discovered languages compressed into symbols, and those symbols were being used to program realities. Language is the OS. It is the operating system for your brain. And major discoveries reveal languages are symbols pulled apart. I have pictures. Now, despite the dangers, we began to take apart everything in plain sight for all those ready to view it. And that's when things got truly interesting, as all the answers to what we were to face came rolling out like a river of knowledge. The identities of several previously trusted forces, mainly gods, came under scrutiny. During these times, we lost some of our most firm supporters, as we came under fire by an invisible but effective force that wished to preserve the current low flow of interpretation that the masses had about deities and spiritual knowledge. Some of those closest to me chose not only to discontinue on the path with me, but also attempt to avert others from pursuing the truth, while systematically working to end what I was doing, what we are doing here, what Two Dog and I have work to do here. We fight this daily. Right, Two Dog? Yeah, high five, my brother. They will get tired of knocking us down before we get tired of getting back up. And we will miss some of our friends, as they have utterly failed themselves. But our inner network has never wavered, because that is what's most important to me, to us, is that we find the meaning of our life, that nothing else will suffice. You can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. We all have done to re-educate all that we have done. One thing still prevails, and the rest of the spiritual world at large is on the ET kick now. I am proclaiming that we are the ETs, and that when a star appears in the sky, a human baby appears here on earth. As we continued to dissolve the line of separation between ourselves and enlightened beings, we quickly become that fully and thus whole new plane of consciousness. You open up a world that used light codes as language, and inhabitants were connected to an enormous organic network. This is the other dimension, pressed so close to ours, that I speak of. In the meantime, the New Agers further separate themselves from any responsibility of being human by leaving it up to some ascended master or some trick of the word, or some being who has yet to friggin' show up. You actually do exist in two worlds. You witness one world at a time, when you are asleep, and the other when you are awake. People have always been curious about this knowledge of what is on the other side of the mirror, and I will speak clearly of it here, as I find a great need for it to be done. I have not found such info anywhere intact, or put in layman's terms, or anything close to that. First, it would be an error to mistake this plane for the one we enter most of the time when dreaming. These dream areas are more in our mind, created by our holophonic projections, coming from most of the time half-operative eye, third eye, if you will, if you want. Why are all the best prophets blind? We see best in the darkness. We always will. So we have been taught to fear the darkness on purpose. There's nothing that will open up your eyes than being in the darkness for a couple days. Don't believe it? Try it. See what happens. You may pee your little pants. Now there are, based on experiences colliding with our other thoughts while attempting to remain cohesive, you can see how focused the mind truly is by watching the dream. Many agree that they have never seen such oddities as they see in the dream world, which can at times make a Dali painting look normal. But let's mark some stages and occurrences from an adept level of the dreamer. Level 1 dreamer, this dream can barely remember the dreams, or their dreams, at all, and often feel as if they were not having dreams. It is a fact that everyone dreams. Like it or not, remember them or not, whether you can remember or not is another matter, because the dream world contains doors to access other states of consciousness. It is here that the controllers do most of their work to keep you from seeing what is going on. If you do not remember your dreams, you need to work on that. Dream level 2 dreamer. This dreamer sees themselves dreaming, but gathered little intel from that dream. At times the dreams are so clear the dreamer is certain that they will remember the dream, but when waking they find themselves forgetting except a few little small details. To remedy this, make a dream journal. Every morning write it down, anything you remember. This is a brute force method of assessing your dream state. It only takes your consistency, and it's guaranteed to work. You start remembering more and more as you try to remember more and more. The intent causes the action. Level 3 dreamer. This dreamer sees dreams clearly and often picks up information about the future in their dreams, mainly the next day. This dreamer has begun to control their dream body and have entered the lucid state. They have become Lucy, which is why you should not fear Lucy or Lucius or Lucifer or any enlightened being. This is what you are. It's not the boogeyman, although there is a boogeyman. He would still kick the Punisher's butt. So this dreamer can control the environment, bring objects in and out of the plane at will with balanced concentration. This dreamer also encounters other personalities in the dream who appear to have characters totally independent of the dreamer's psyche. Until you get to this stage, you are doing very little. So if you think you are having meetings with other beings, you are talking to yourself, you aren't there yet. Now, level 4 dreamers. This dreamer spends most of their time as a level 3 dreamer. During certain alignments, this dreamer has access to other portals, which lead to already inhabited worlds. They often enter as an already active character, as if they have another life, because you do. These worlds are similar to Earth, only in the sense that there is a hierarchy or a chain of life. All other things may vary, such as flying vehicles, different looking species, futuristic primitive world settings, etc., because we carry a biorhythm that connects us across a line and a timeline. This is our biome. This is us as children of Gaia, to be spoken of Thursday. It's only Tuesday. Holy crap. Time warp. Okay, so I'll go into our biome and our biorhythm and all those things. But we at times have access to segments by genetic right during fully concentrated dream states. At the peak of this futuristic adventure called existence, you will discover you are everything. So thus, an endless level of connectivity can be assessed by adept dreamers. In short, they can literally be anything in any state of its existence. Level 5. Silence permeates the room when a level 5 dreamer is spoken of. A level 5 dreamer spends a very short moment in the state of the level 4 dreamer. Then they use trained abilities to pierce the veil of fauna, which resides in being everything as a viewer, but not in action. What resides behind this door or insertion that has been made by the level 5 dreamer is never known when they go into it. And they are always surprised, as if creativity is in competition with itself. Level 5 dreamers often face a test every time before the ability to fold the dream comes. These tests generally arrive as desires, appearing in perfect countenance, demanding interactions. Sorry, I had a cough. When avoiding these blocks, you proceed beyond the veil. When choosing to engage, then your desire, your demon, your daemon is fulfilled, but you lose access to going through the veil if you fulfill that demon, the daemon, the desire. Ultimately, failing to pass too often somehow reduces the level 5 dreamer back to 3 for a time. So this is dreaming solved. Da 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 da. This is the eye, the beholder. This is what we must do. Well, we must do nothing. When you are low-level dreaming, you are sort of between worlds for a moment, not in one or another, enough to be fully interactive, as you've noticed on the middle of the 2-world diagram that I have on my page. Above the center you will see a vesica. Oh, and it's under Secrets of the Universe. I think I put it up yesterday. And you can see the list of articles on the left-hand side of the page. Now, the vesica is an eye. It is the shape of many portals in and out of these worlds. This is why it is the shape of your eye. It is a gateway to the soul, or for the soul. It is why the best seers are blind. Our existence brings a whole new meaning to we are the world. Although you may not be fully awake to witness it happening, when a person fully enters the second world, it's as if they've turned their spirit around in their body and exited a hole in the back of themselves. They have tesseract themselves, or turned themselves inside out. That is why there's a cube and that space in that new movie called Gravity, which I recommend. They get it wrong, but it's interesting. There's always a brief sensation of spinning upside down, as if you are literally on the other side of yourself. Oh my God, I had that last year. Dream time. That I was hanging upside down in my house and I started spinning and I went outside. That was this. The plane. So I tesseract myself, basically. The plane then entered is fully functional, but operates somehow different than this one. Mainly anything needing to be accessed must be manifested by intention first. So anyone not familiar with such techniques remains in a gel-like field, sometimes thought of as a wall of what appears like nothingness, although they often see projections coming from their minds of various things, because the untrained mind sends random thoughts automatically. Then I have pictures of the Jesus and the Mary, or the godlike figure, usually, or anything with wings that looks like an eye. So the mystery is solved for those who can read the symbolism here. They usually show Yeshua, Yahweh Vashe Shin, which is rapidly failing archetype for the enlightened man entering and exiting the Visika. The opening, you know what else that looks like. I'll show you how many eyes can you see without knowing that you're looking at a vagina. Just saying. Now, because they know that the Vesika is a portal, and anyone who can access such a dimension gains various abilities, because there is a vast amount of instruction and instructions on such planes. Further, the reason why Yahweh Vashe Shin is shown on the cross before he crosses over is the cross is actually unfolded. It is unfolded tesseract, indicating the knowledge of how you exit your body is located within the symbol of the cross, all levels. He even mentions Jesus. They are aware of all this on the cross, second dimension, the cube, third dimension, tesseract, fourth dimension. This world that we speak of has been known since the beginning of existence, is probably where various phases of existence begins for many. It is shown in the Hebrew that the ancients could rip up a hole into this current reality, walk into the other realm. The hole would then close up behind them, because it basically heals itself, as anything of an organic nature does. And just as you cut yourself, it heals. When you punch a hole in the reality, it spontaneously heals itself, leaving only a moment to walk through. And you were able to accomplish this by pronouncing the words related to what it looked like, the shape of a 7, usually. If you notice, this 7 has the shape of a cleaver, very cleverly hidden. This is why a pentagram and the swastika are in actuality multiple shapes of 7s in different number sequences, because they have always been symbols of opening, molding, the shaping of realities. And you notice the Anta Karana cube that I do have, again, Hidden Secrets of the Universe, that you can look at. On the top left, you will see a wall. Each wall of the cube is the shape of a 7. Thus, when one is removed, an opening or door is immediately made. This is the dalet. Dalet, the door, the pathway to enter. The dalet is shaped like a 7 because it is known to create a door, and even means door, pathway, or to enter. Being born on the 22nd makes a path number of 4, or basically a door for others to enter into states of consciousness. It is also odd that this number in Hebrew corresponds to the Spanish to the planet Venus, the Empress card. It's funny, when I read Seven Bomar stuff, his middle name is Evans, and when moved around it spells Venus. This is still 5th column, but this also explains why he knows what he knows, as if he can hear the planes and the plans being made from the future. Now, according to astrology, October 22nd is also under the planet Venus, and it reminds me of what Harry Potter discovered in the final movie. It can be possible that Nikola Tesla was really telling the truth when he said he was from Venus. So as we begin to glimpse into this higher actuality, it became a deep desire to assist others who were just as dedicated in calibrating themselves properly so they can witness their splendidness. I know it feels like there's few of us, but even if there's only 3, that is enough. Me and 2 others is enough. If I, for you, for my last breath, I will. Why not? Because this is the idea of a superhuman, an activated being, which, to be honest, I've heard a lot of shows. I've spoken to a lot of people. I've met one other, maybe 2, other than family, who are so full of crap, I want to faint or stab myself in the eye, or poke myself, or do various things which would be bad for me, but I am dying. And when I say someone is full of crap and no one believes me till after, when you find out they're full of crap, or they fail, or they fall on their face and take you with them, and I'm like, that's right, bitches. There's always us, whoever we are, that are always at the forefront of an evolutionary trigger. We spark. We burn. We fade out, sometimes really fast. But the fact that any of us are listening right now and that we're still alive is a big friggin' deal. Because we have seen a lot of people fall by the wayside, and we're watching this right now. We have learned this is not just a scientific pipe dream, but in fact the future state of maybe even many. And we have gained more purpose in knowing that we are actually one of the few factions designed to do that. We are the real, true resistance. And if you're hearing my voice right now, you are part of that. You're not less. What you have to say is nothing less than what I say. I just sound awesome when I do it. So anyway, well, some expected us to be rounded up by now. Our knowledge soon. We in fact proved we were just getting started. The activated body presented so many challenges and adventures, but it all hinged on the constant power supply, or what is dubbed the free energy for the body. After prescribed sessions, alkalines, salts, ethereums, my own, a few others around me, are primed to receive the next transmission. The secret location of energy, its precise activation method as we stand, fortitude, mental and emotional strength. I pulled that card this morning. I did a card reading for myself this morning. What's even the chances? It's when facing difficulty, adversity, and danger, you do it courageously. And it is clear that the mysteries have been revealed for those who can read these signs and not find themselves deterred by literal interpretations and conspiracy theories. And as you see, she is dedicated with the complete chakra center grounded, rooted fully in the earth, which is the Kundalini and the only force that can power the wheels. This is why the wheels on the bus go round and round. This force is shown to overcome the red dragon, who reigns over the physical nature of the worlds. In other words, this is shown as a pyramid and a square under the lion's feet. Kundalini handles this with ease, while making one strong like the pillars if kept in balance. Those that have been with me, step by step, know this is the discovery of the Universal Mother and her various components, especially Kundalini. She is the tree of life. Eve is the tree. Ashtara is the tree. After studying endless novels, practicing multiple techniques, it is fully realized that Kundalini was in itself an advanced state, just consciousness generating endless organic energy. Are you making orgone? You better stop touching that. You go blind. A little contact, and it was able to point us in the right direction, whispering gently, "You are everything, my child. Learn the advantage to this. Conquer your fear. Unite the worlds in conflict within. You should know that just as your mother took care of you while you were sick, and it is her that you can tell your deepest concerns, the Universal Mother will always be there for you. Most importantly, when you get damaged, disabled by this world, she will bring you into her bosom, repair you. We used to remark that we came to the Universal Mother after the world has chewed us up spiritually, saying, "Ma, I'm lonely. I feel like an alien from space amongst my brothers, my sisters, who no longer understand me after I've learned the truth. Look at what the world has done to me. Damage my chakra centers, my mind, my emotional state. I'm having a great deal of trouble flying. My body and soul are radical. Make it balanced again." This is no problem for the Universal Mother. She does not respond, "You sinned against me. You are not chosen. Get the hell out." No, that is ego. This is ego. This is Zeus, who has also a use. The Universal Mother should not be confused with the seductive goddess. As I show in the pictures by ancients, she is a nurturer, sustainer of life, and yes, that is sexy. Thus the law was laid down on how to construct bridges, and we have been building tirelessly to connect more of humanity to the knowledge and the value of the true meaning behind the zeros and the one. We have not only peered into the other worlds, but we have seen how they are constructed, and now we are in training. Those that think they will never build worlds need to simply ask why we are allowed to have children. And if that is not a micro-universe right there. Now we are learning how to build to perfection. So a large part of our mission remains with the youth and converting the keys so that it be able inwardly interpreted by them as they are suffering from the most confusion left for them by careless creator parents. So as I am thinking about this and working on the next pages and our next stories and continuing to expand, I see that we are bringing for the first time such heavy levels of knowledge in a cohesive way, explaining the as above, so below fractal nature of our reality, which cannot be denied. As I have said, if we do not think we are fractals, then why do we come out of another human? Problem solved. Mystery solved. It's in your face. And I believe the youth are rejecting spirituality as it has been presented now by religions, because there is an inward inclination that is stagnant and non-progressive. That is why it is being ended. Got a little picture of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And if you look closely at history and honestly look at it, you will find that there are people that are proclaiming that they are the original representatives of a certain bloodline, when they are in fact, they are not. And they have stolen a great deal of the mysteries and defaced the knowledge in every way. Now the children of those who kept the original knowledge are awakened as we approach the time wave zero, and by right, those who are the original keepers of knowledge will come forth and correct all the misinterpretations caused by the perpetrators about the truth to spirituality and the ancient records. There is a reason they have mutated all the religions of Europe to make you believe you are following an African god, an African voodoo god who hates you. That's it. Now, never be selfish with knowledge, because it's endless. And it's true that the energy of higher activation is so intense that you must have balance. To make it very clear, if you enter the high vibration unbalanced, you will only wobble faster and crash into everything like a top, smashing into walls, going nuts, while never obtaining a maximum acceleration as a wobbly little tire. Go fast as an unbalanced one. When you obtain balance, you can move at the speed of light, faster, the speed of thought. And those who fully comprehend the speed of thought, or beyond, needing to know, because they are in the know already. So let me run a little of the whole gamut with you, so you will know what has gained when being consistent at telling the truth. In addition, the information supplied here unlocks a great deal of mysteries that most are still attempting to decipher. Knowledge is power, but power is still dependent on its wielder. This is why so many teachers that proclaim to be spiritually adept miss the mark and keep missing all of what I've just told you. They are having such a hard time accepting that they will have to go back to school. So they roam about saying the same things over and over and over, misinforming. They cannot build. They are not builders. They cannot form. Some can take knowledge and go very far with it, while others can just throw it up in the air on a desk, never go over it, thus falling and failing to extract the gem. I will hold nothing back here but the topics if you are ready to receive them, because it is for you. If not, throw it out. Continue to search. Either way, here I am. When we know the mysteries, you will see that others also know them. And masters of the next card, my favorite card, the Explorer card, they are aware of the fine nature of this reality, along with its multiple paths and journeys. All have set out on this journey a long time ago. Many are lost. We have now entered to pull those people out. Welcome to the real rabbit hole. And I often say that while most hope to one day go down it, few have considered how to get out once they have entered. Can you get out? No, we're just going in. And, being an Aries, I understand that approach. We'll dive in and we'll just hope there's water. Now, a little of the necessary mathematical stuff here. For those who are not familiar with phi, simply observe photos, because my goal is to prove that phi is 1, a pentagram, 2, a rectangle or door, 3, the golden mean. Doing this will allow us to have a confirmed system to work with, which will allow you to see why all we are experiencing on this dimension is taking place. The man, as a pentagram, phi represents the design of the human body, even down to your bones. As a rectangle, or the golden ratio phi spiral, upon itself indefinitely, each dimension becoming another door, to a more fractalated state of the original, still the same thing, just smaller. Phi, as a golden mean, shows that just about everything in this reality is structured using this principle. Now that we have gone through the math, let me show you what this means. The first known uses of the pentagram were found in Mesopotamia writings around 3000 BC-ish. Sumerian pentagrams served as pictograms for the words Ab, Barak, meaning corner, angle, nook, a small room, cavity, hole, or pitfall. The Abrak, or plow, was used by the Aryans in ways as they came with civilization, because they already had possession of knowledge. Also keep in mind it is correct to assume Sumerians are exactly that, some Aryans. Clever, eh? Now this proves that the Sumerians were neither white Nor were they black, but instead a crossbreed between the two, the amalgam. Much earlier, it appears, than Sumerian ancestors. Did they have connections with Mars, several other planets? And they are the ones in the first writing of this planet that mentions, oh look, there's white people. They found them. They liked them. They kept them. Anyway. Mars, other planets, pyramids, everything else. It appears that species look different than current man and woman, and match more elongated head statues with the odd eyes found all over Africa and Egypt, and heads that are still there in Africa and Egypt, like the Canaanite god El, 1300 BC. Now, the biggest clue when dealing with these off-world beings is actually their large eyes. Notice how popular grave figures with large eyes also. Chaldean kings and stuff like that. So many are asking themselves if a Sumerian civilization was better or worsened the situation. I say now it does not matter. We have already experienced thousands of years of it. We are continually adapting in the direction to rid ourselves of control. The pentagram is the highest symbol of control. This is why it is used in more places than the cross or the Star of David or any of that stuff. Evidence. From henceforth I will introduce a great deal of unbelievable knowledge of truth in hopes that my records will assist you and this planet in knowing what is being conducted behind this veil. As you see, the veil is an anagram for evil. So it should be clear that to hide things from people is an evil act. Thus it makes those who bring forth truth good. Evil's only purpose is to highlight the option of what good is. Evil is a slave of good burden, with the miserable job of contrast and shadow. We need those. But as with any image, a shadow makes it look more real. If there are poisons, then there are cures. If there are ways to kill, there are ways to bring life. The use of such opposite poles in this way, from now on, you will grow rich in many ways. Call to the many mansions. Israel was composed of 12 tribes of human race, in close conjunction, yet distinct from those were 12 others, which might be called the barbarous or the inhuman. One tribe for every constellation, zodiacal, and then double or devil. That double was the shadow of darkness to each, and those were also the tribes and the nations. To those doubles or devils, the constellation and concealed 12 were the shadow of light, and they hated them without cause. In an evil hour they drove them from the midst and were themselves swallowed up by darkness. Talking about being afraid of your own shadow, man and woman have spent thousands of years running from the unknown without a cause. It's time to confront that with me. Even afraid of the sheeple, fear's fear is one day it will be exposed as having no true essence without our effort. It is afraid of this because it does not know where it will go, as it will have no place. Such is the problems of fear. So when you lose it, you return to your rightful place as everything. And when you know how these connect, you've uncovered a great mystery. Do you ever get that stagnant feeling in reality? It's like we have so much to do and so many places go. But we all find ourselves piled on top of each other without the ability to go anywhere and explore. Of course, money plays a huge role in our lives in regards to how much we can move around and why this money is shaped like a rectangle, because it can get through doors. That is just a fact. So let's dissect it a little bit. Thursday. Wow, I got to almost nothing. Okay, love you guys. See on my page later, and I'll tell you about whether or not when and if we're going to be hearing our friends tomorrow. And I love